I work with ADU West Coast. I also have my own consulting, ADU GG Investments, and I help people buy, build, and manage. And one thing that has stood out in the last couple of weeks in talking to so many investors day to day is they're overwhelmed by the amount of just different options that there are and that they're hearing and watching and seeing on social media and trying to figure out which route to go. And a lot of that is either trying to figure out whether they want to do ADUs, SB9, SB 1211. So in this video, I just want to kind of go through what those three options are and then you decide, which route fits best. I think what really drives which route you're going to go, because ultimately all three roads and lead to the same ending, right? Which is build more, maximize density, create more cash flow, and more forced appreciation on your assets. So a lot more leverage and control. But what's really going to dictate whether you want to go SB9, SB 1211, or both, or ADUs on stacked on top of those two strategies is financing. So a lot of people just want to do certain things that they have in mind or that they've heard, but they don't understand, the difference between the three. So I thought it'd be good to kind of go through the handbook a little bit. So here is the updated ADU handbook 2026. There's a lot of updates here. I haven't even read through all of it. But what I did want to kind of go over was reiterate again, the ADU law allows you to build, right? A junior ADU and a detached ADU, possibly even two. So you could buy a single family home and convert the garage. That would be probably step one. The most cost effective route is to do something like that. You're in the market to buy a property or you have an existing property. You convert the ADU, rent it out, and that helps you offset your other expenses. Step two is maybe looking at the SB9 route, right? Which there have been some changes here. And all you have to do is like read through the handbook and feel more confident in knowing like what's allowed because that's step one, right? And so there were some modifications that were changed to SB9 that I'll probably go through in another separate video, but I'm just kind of showing you guys where to find this information. So if you go back up to the top, you just go to the section where it talks about SB9, which is right here, page 41, right? So then you scroll down to page 41. I know that with SB9s, right, there's two different types of SB9s, and a lot of people get overwhelmed with that too, trying to figure out, do I do the lot split or do I not do the lot split? There's two types of SB9s. We're personally doing a lot of the SB9s that don't require lot split because if it doesn't require to get entitled, then that saves us cost on, money and time frame as well. So we're actually finishing up one in Gardena that I'll be showcasing, and it looks very similar to a single family home with two ADUs. But that third unit is the SB9 unit, which I've also shared on my social media. But back to the SB9 route, I see a lot of people getting hung up on which route do I go. And again, with SB9, if you do the lot split, you can build up to 4 units, right? It's technically 2 duplexes. It allows for the lot to be split with each of the 2 results lots eligible for up to 2 primary units. These primary units are distinct from ADUs and JADUs. So these are 2 separate units. You could also use the ADU law, right, to add another 2 ADUs or so. When a lot split occurs, SB9 requires that the local agency approve up to 2 units on each parcel, but specifically states that only 2 units are allowed per parcel, despite the ADU law would otherwise allow. Those 2 units could be 2 primary SB9 units, or 1 primary unit and 1 ADU, or 1 primary unit and 1 JADU. But in no case is a local agency required to permit more than 2 units on either of those 2 parcels resulting from an SB9 lot split. When an SB9 lot split has not occurred, right? That's like you're not splitting the lot. The lot is eligible to receive up to two primary units under SB 9, as well as whatever combination of ADUs and JADUs it would otherwise be entitled to under the ADU law itself. So if SB 9 was not being used, in some instances, this may result in a total of number of units on the parcel that is greater than what either SB 9 or ADU law would allow on its own. However, if the ADU law is used on its own or in combination with SB 9 to create more than four total units on a lot, a local agency is not required to approve a lot split under SB 9. So I think that was definitely a little change there. See HCD fact sheets. And then it kind of goes into details, right? Specific details on setbacks and a couple other questions that you may have. But this is where you're able to set up a call with me and we can kind of run you through some of those case scenarios. But yeah, I think you could go, as you can see, the SB 9 route, ADU route. You can go the basic ADU route with converting the garage and maybe adding a junior ADU. You also have SB 1211 and 25% density rule, which applies to multifamily. I spoke to someone yesterday who has a 14 unit. They're thinking of adding 8 detached ADUs, which they can totally do. I'll show you right now where the SB 1211 is. So SB 1211 is page 52, right? So SB 1211 basically allows you to add up to 8 detached ADUs on an existing 8 unit and up to 8 basically. So let's see if we can find a little bit more info. Doesn't look like they have a whole lot besides this, but SB 1211 made various changes to a state ADU law with regards to replacing parking units on the lot with existing or proposed multifamily dwellings and went into effect January 1st. This bill defines livable space as a space in a dwelling intended for human habitation, as the term appears in government section code, blah, 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 the new government code specifies that uncovered off-street parking spaces demolished in conjunction with the construction of an ADU and to not be replaced. It authorizes up to 8 detached ADUs on a lot with an existing multifamily dwelling, provided that the numbers of ADUs do not exceed the number of existing units. So that means you could add up to 8 on an existing 8-unit structure. You can add 6 on a 6 unit. You can add 4 on a 4 unit. Keep in mind it has to be detached, right? And aside from the SB 1211, which says you can add up to 8 detached ADUs on a multifamily unit, you could also convert 25% of the existing structure. And that's called the 25% density rule. So where I see people getting hung up the most is trying to figure out which way to go. Do I do SB 1211? Do I do SB 9? Do I do both of those? And the popular one right now is SB 1123, which I'm, a big fan of and been learning a lot through Jared's program on how to implement that, right? Because that is a riskier strategy, more long term, but the upside is incredible. So definitely something to look into. But regardless of which route, they're all taking you to the end of the same road, right? And so that is being able to build more and maximize your property. So I would say to a lot of those investors who are stuck between which route do I go, read this, try to figure out what works for you, right? And if you don't know and you need clarity, depending on your financing, your exit strategy, or why you even had the idea to do this, right? Because maybe you heard about it and it's the thing to do right now, have a conversation with me. I do have a 15-minute free call. Anything aside from that, if we choose to work together, I do have a consulting fee where we can actually go through an entire strategy and really figure this out for you and give you the clarity that you need. But like I said, don't try to do them all. Just pick one that works for you. For myself, SB9 has been very successful and being able to get a lot of projects through with SB9. SB 1211 is one that I'm really also focusing on. But when I first started, I was just doing buying the single family, converting the garage, and that was pretty much it, right? So from there, you can kind of scale the strategy and maybe skip those two. But if you have a good team, right, it does take skill, it does take knowledge, policy knowledge, so that you can move through this strategy confidently. If you feel like any of what I said today resonated with you, feel free to reach out. You can go to our website, aduggginvestments.org, fill out the form, tell me what you're having thoughts of doing, building, buying, and we can kind of go from there. You can pick a time to have a scheduled call, and then we will go from there. I'm going to go ahead and attach the link to the HCD handbook as well. I suggest all of you read it, and we'll see you guys on the next one.